wants to hire the counter sniper Secret Service team who failed? That's the public's perception I'm now faced with. The U.S. Secret Service counter sniper team is a stain I will never be able to cleanse. Now, as a courtesy to law enforcement, we are not going to post the entire request. This is the first page of that request. The story is this: the account for which the data was requested was unequivocally pro-Biden.
I can tell you this, once the bullets started coming at me, and I got very lucky, I have to attribute it to God, because if I didn't turn to the right, and there was no reason to turn to the right except I dropped a big sign on what a great job I'm doing on immigration, right?
A very interesting Secret Service email has now emerged, courtesy of Susan Crabtree. You see, she posted this over on X, and she is a reporter over for Real Clear Politics, is the White House national political correspondent. Got her hands on this email. Very, very curious, because it's a Secret Service email, but not so secret of an email, because it has now been published, and it is not from a happy individual who apparently was working on the Secret Service team. So here is some background on what we have inside. This is an exclusive from Susan Crabtree. She reports, a Secret Service counter sniper sent an email Monday night to the entire uniformed division, not the agents, saying he will not stop speaking out until 5 high-level supervisors, 1 down, are either fired or removed from their current positions. Ooh, he's not happy. The counter sniper also said that the agency, quote, should expect another assassination attempt before November, and complained that he is no longer proud to be a U.S. Secret Service counter sniper after leadership failed the officers at the Trump rally in Butler on 7/13. He concluded with a powerful statement. Now, what happened in the aftermath of the email being sent is the Secret Service little censors over there, they said, oh, how dare you criticize us? Don't you know who you're talking to? And so the agency quickly deleted the email. Delete that from the servers. Go, go, go. A knowledgeable source told Real Clear Politics. No, I didn't even see that one. Just went in there and nuked it. Now, here's the full email. The name has been redacted. It tells us that this came out Monday, July 29th, 10:34 p.m. Late night email to UND-all, Uniform Division, everybody. Subject is about the creation of the advanced research regarding RE 200.030, creation of the Advanced Research and Capabilities Division in the Office of Technical Development and Mission Support, TEC Directorate. So it looks like he got an email and he's responding. Here's what he says. Thank you for the backing and support. So they sent an email, creation of Advanced Research and Capabilities Division in the Office of Technical Development and Mission Support, the Tech Directorate. Oh my gosh, these things are just, they're maddening. It's like a Dr. Seuss book or something. How many words can you string together that don't even mean anything? And he responds, thank you for the backing and support. Like, ugh. I'm not stopping until 5 high-level supervisors, 1 down, Kimberly Cheadle went bye-bye, are either fired or removed from their current positions. This agency needs to change. If not now, when? The next assassination attempt, next. In 30 days? Is that when we'll change? Because we all should expect another attempt to happen before November. We've exposed our inability to protect our leaders due to our leadership. The technicians who worked on J13 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania, did their job with their hands tied. Secret Service supervisors knew better, and the foot soldiers working made the best of a bad situation that resulted in a civilian death and a near miss of the protectee, and our technician shooting and killing the suspect. I know many look at the counter sniper team as, guys who sit on the roof and don't do much. But our responsibility, our mission, is not about protecting an empty White House located at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's about preventing and stopping another JFK-style assassination in whatever city that may be. Sadly, we have fallen short for years. We just got lucky and looked good doing it. I have conveyed these thoughts to not only supervisors, to include the current captain within the counter snipers, but those responsible for training us, the SOTs and the counter sniper teams, only to be brushed off as if those with less experience somehow knew more than me. The team I was once proud to be a part of is something I have to now somehow hide as I move into my next career. Who wants to hire the counter sniper Secret Service team who failed? That's the public's perception I'm now faced with. The U.S. Secret Service counter sniper team is a stain I will never be able to cleanse. Some of us take our job and responsibility seriously, deadly seriously. I may be overzealous, but after 7 years in the Marine Corps, as an NCO and 20 plus years on the U.S. Secret Service counter sniper team, failure is not an option. And on J13 2024, we failed. Not because of commitment or sense of dedication, but because our supervisors, aka the leadership, knew better and thought our concerns were less than important. The motto of the U.S. Secret Service, CYA, cover your ass. And every supervisor is doing it right now. Well done, sir. But as we see here is a person who actually performs, who's being forced to be dumbed down by incompetence up at the top. So the people at the top making the decisions to enable an assassination attempt should be held responsible. These people are very competent. They know what they're doing and how to prevent this from happening. It's not complicated. Every single person who watched this said, why is there no one on that roof? Every single agent, or I would say the suits as they're calling them, okay, not the agents, the people in charge of making the decisions higher up the chain, are covering their butts. Now there's more on this. Susan Crabtree continued her reporting, and it gets worse. So check this out. Ronald Rowe, acting Secret Service director, was directly involved in denying additional security resources and personnel. Directly, including counter snipers, to former President Trump's rallies and events, despite repeated requests by the agents assigned to Trump's detail in the 2 years leading up to J13. That's according to several sources familiar with the decision making. Several sources. Now, this is being reported over by Susan Crabtree, July 30th, the day of his testimony in front of Congress. Now, Rowe succeeded former Secret Service Director Cheadle, who resigned last week after bipartisan calls following her widely panned testimony. I don't know what happened. Investigation's ongoing. But both Rowe and Cheadle were directly involved in decisions, denying requests for more magnetometers, additional agents, and other resources helped to screen rally goers at large events. It was Rowe's decision alone, which he'll deny, and I'm sure has, to deny counter sniper teams to any Trump event outside of driving distance from DC. Now, Rowe and the FBI Director Paul Abate, they appeared here on Tuesday. We'll hear what they say. Now, senators on both sides of the aisle have vowed to press them for answers, and they have, saying that there was a litany of gaps and failures here. There are monumental, critical questions so far that the leadership of these two agencies have failed to answer for. Ron Johnson, senior member of Homeland, said he was initially impressed with Rowe, but says, I'm going to hold him fully accountable for this, and we're going to investigate this, no doubt. Now, assigning counter snipers based on the ability to drive to an event sounds far-fetched, okay? It's like, what? That sounds ridiculous. It's like, well, that's a long drive, and I don't want to put miles on the car. Miles on the what? It's the president. He's running for president. Like, nah, it's too far. Just got new tires on there. But knowledgeable sources explain that there's a limited number of these highly trained uniformed divisions. And so it's easier for counter sniper teams to carry their guns and gears in a van that they can just transport over there. Now, they're referred to as push vehicles. And so our government's like, oh, we're out of vans. We can't afford any vans. You know who probably has them? Ukraine. Probably all in Ukraine. You should ask Zelensky to give us some equipment back, man. Or they're in Afghanistan. So they don't have vans. Now, the alternative is for counter sniper teams to get on commercial flights with all their gear, find a rental vehicle, oh no, and then do it all in reverse on the way home. Oh my gosh. You mean like every single business person who's ever traveled ever? Wow. Shocking. So I can't believe that. That's way too much to ask. First of all, these guys can't even stand on sloped roofs. All right. So you think they can accommodate all this? That's like 3 steps. They can carry their guns and gears on airplanes. There's an efficient process for that, but it's going to be much easier because they're going to have all their gear with them to drive rather than to fly. Then they have to have a push vehicle. It takes the whole team from a hotel to the site each day. They would always rather drive than fly. Now, the Secret Service has not responded to several questions from Real Clear Politics about decisions to deny or limit security resources, including some counter snipers. Now, at first, the Trump rally in Butler had no Secret Service sniper teams assigned to it. No, you don't need that. It's too hard. But at the last minute, agency officials were like, oh crap, what if he gets shot? They reversed course, decided to add 2 snipers for the outdoor event. Woo, thank the Lord they did that. Now, it's for a total of 4 individuals. 2-man teams usually include 1 spotter and 1 sniper. What if they didn't have that? So far, there has been no explanation as to why agency officials made the late counter sniper assignments to the Butler event. I can't wait to figure that one out. Though it could be in response to the increased threat level that Trump had in recent weeks. Maybe because it was the Iranians or something, right? Trump had an increased threat level based on the Iranians, they allege, and they're still like, well, it's far though. It's like it's far and we need that van. Hunter needs it. The Secret Service has said the agency increased security for Trump for an unknown time period before the rally in response to the Iranian plot. There it is. Now, as Real Clear Politics previously reported, and we're going to trust their word much more than we're going to trust anything out of these Secret Service people, but the late decision to add the counter snipers cut short the time the team had to conduct a detailed survey. Like, just find a roof, we don't care. Such a survey would usually take 2 to 3 days to complete, but the counter snipers only had 1 day to complete their advance work. Just whatever. It's like token, right? We did it. Just say we did it. Sniper. Okay. Put him on a roof. Done. Okay. And if Trump gets shot, we did the due diligence. We did our work, or we did our homework. Instead, says sources familiar with the counter sniper advance work also said an outdoor forum such as the Farm Show site in Butler would require at least 3 two-man counter sniper teams. But instead, the Secret Service sent 2 counter snipers and then relied on local law enforcement counter snipers to handle the AGR building, placing that structure outside of their official perimeter. Again, another volitional act. Who made that decision and why? The decision to rely on local law enforcement to man that building has come under scrutiny. Blame the local cops, especially as new details have emerged of the local cops tracking him and reporting him to the Secret Service for more than an hour. As we talked about yesterday on our 1 frames per second show, we saw that there was evidence that they knew about this guy 90 minutes before and thought he was suspicious. Local law enforcement and snipers and their superior officers have said that they tried to keep the Secret Service informed about their concerns, and the Secret Service was like, it's the local cops again. Do you want to talk to them? No. And they just kind of, F you button it. So why? Their communications were siloed from the agency, even though they said they notified the Secret Service Command Center because they were in the same building. We know that they had 1 representative in there so he could relay directly to them. So we'd love to know the names of those 2 people and what happened there. Now, the Secret Service Command Center is supposed to be manned with both senior Secret Service agents and local law enforcement bosses to facilitate interoperability so they don't have to all get on the same radio channels with different technologies. They're just there. Hey, local team says there's a sniper on the roof. What roof? AGR building. Great. Sniper on the roof, AGR building. Secret Service knows exactly what the local cops know. Go. Instantly. But a breakdown in communication occurred, and the Secret Service was tracking several suspicious persons that day, and apparently never deemed Crooks a threat until he was crawling on the roof with a rifle. Oh, he's got a rifle now. Yeah, but is it loaded though? The Secret Service counter sniper killed Crooks as soon as he had him in his line of sight. Rowe told senators at a closed-door briefing. Senator Johnson told Real Clear Politics that Rowe told the senators during a briefing that Crooks was hiding behind the lip of the edge of the building, and that the Secret Service counter sniper shot and killed him as soon as he could detect his forehead above the lip on that building's roof edge. Whew, man, what a shot. So Crooks just pops his head up. Boom. And that actually matches what we heard from that guy yesterday that said he saw a ploof of hair flying all over the place, which is not funny. Several members of Congress have questioned the role poor communications have played in any of this. Yeah, poor communications. It's always amazing. It's like the magical poor communications and incompetence fairies responsible for everything. So we'll see now more than 100 minutes before they open fire. Lawmakers have repeatedly asked why. If local law enforcement was tracking Crooks so closely, why, oh why, didn't the Secret Service agents detailed to Trump whisk him off the stage? Why did they not even stop him from going out in the first place? But those familiar with Secret Service under similar circumstances say, well, there's always threats and it's not a big deal. Are there snipers on roofs? Always? And they do not often rise to the level of alerting the detail. Those 5 to 10 agents whose sole job it is to provide immediate protection. On the day of the rally, more than 100 people needed medical attention for heat exhaustion. 3 other suspicious people besides Crooks, and they were keeping tabs on them. But even if Secret Service received notification that local law enforcement was tracking Crooks, Secret Service agents wouldn't go on high alert unless they knew he was armed or on top of a roof, which texts show law enforcement never observed or notified the command center about, even though they appeared to have flagged Crooks as engaging in suspicious activity. I don't buy this, actually. So we saw in the videos yesterday that the cops were swarming the building. They knew somebody was on the roof for a long time. I mean, a long time, I guess, is relative and subjective, but I would say long enough for the Secret Service to say, wait, what? There's a shooter on the roof? What roof? Over there. Yep, he's got a gun. He's take him out, right? So, because the cops were there, looking up, walking all over the place. In fact, other cops were boosting other cops on top. So clearly they knew there was something wrong on the roof. I don't know if they texted them, hey, there's a shooter on the roof. They're all looking at the roof. So they all clearly got a communication about the roof. And that shows that there was a conversation about this. So the Secret Service presumably knew. So why did they wait until the shot was fired until they took him out? Even though they appear to have flagged Crooks as engaging in suspicious activity, including at one point they mentioned the rangefinder. Use of the word threat would have changed things, and Trump would not have been allowed on stage, said a source. A suspicious person on the far outer perimeter where 8 cops are looking for him would not make 99% of agents keep the president off the stage. Now, if that suspicious person were reported crawling on a roof, yeah, then most likely the Secret Service would have prevented Trump Trump from beginning his rally. So if Crooks was spotted with a gun, then Trump definitely would have been held back, the sources said. If Crooks was reported as running from the police, which he was, it would be more of a Secret Service judgment call. He was. The counter sniper, we talked about this yesterday, went out to go chase him down. He was on the run. He was fleeing. That elevates him just a regular standard rally goer to something else. But Crooks apparently put the rifle together after scrambling up to the roof, leaving the Secret Service possibly only minutes or even just seconds to react once they learned that he had a gun and was crawling on the roof. So it wasn't seconds because he pointed the gun at the other cop who was climbing up the side and then turned and repositioned. So Crooks' position at the lip of the rooftop's edge further hindered the Secret Service's ability to shoot him before opening fire, according to Rowe's briefing. So then he's now in hidden mode. So he like pops up, shoots, and maybe drops back down. Then he pops up and hits 5 again, drops back down. Then they see where he's at. Then he pops up, head comes off. At least one knowledgeable source blames local law enforcement counter snipers for what appears to be at least one officer's failure to remain in his position and keep an eye on the AGR rooftop. And that was a question that we had for a long time because it seemed like that back building could see the top of that roof in front. Now, the Butler ESU was told where to be and what their job was, likely by a supervisor who had been in the meetings with the Secret Service. They had one job. They should have kept their eyes on the rooftop that they were assigned to. Oh, it's coming back on the local cops now. Secret Service, local cops. Now, several local law enforcement aside to this over the weekend accused the Secret Service, don't you blame us, you punks, of failing to coordinate with them or even meet with them. You say it's our job? You're the Secret Service. They said we're supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service members whenever they arrive. That never happened, said Jason Woods, lead sharpshooter on the SWAT team. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong because it never happened. Before the day of the incident ever happens. This guy, Jason Woods, SWAT team, says, this is weird. Why are they not here? Shouldn't the Secret Service be here to manage this? They're not here. Strange. Almost like they were leaving openings. Now, the first communication between local law enforcement group and the Secret Service, Woods says, was not until the after the shooting. We didn't even hear from them until it's over. By then, he said, it was too late. Instead, he said the agency is committed to better understanding what happened before, after, and during the event so we can understand how Trump almost got killed. From 6:06 to 6:12, the very close timeline, the window that we're concerned about, a local law enforcement officer appears to have left his assigned post at a building to meet a local patrol to let them know a suspect is around the building on the side of the fairgrounds. Now, but by that time, Crooks was already crawling on top of the building, and at 6:12, opened fire on Trump and the crowd. So from about 6:06, he's on the roof. So he's got to be on the roof, and that other cop pops up. So was that at 6:07? Then the cops are on the horn screaming to Secret Service, there's a shooter on the roof who just came at us. Or was it closer to 6:10? Was it 6:10, 30 seconds when the cop fell off? Radios it in. By the time Secret Service gets that radio, it's too late. Interesting. All right, so all that's happening. We also know that there was some questions about some of these text messages. New texts show that local police were scrambling to assist with covering the rally. Just absolutely overwhelmed, apparently, because the Secret Service wasn't even meeting with them. New text messages between Beaver County Emergency Services show just how understaffed they were ahead of a rally for former President Trump. In a discussion between team leaders who were requested to assist with the rally in Butler, where the event took place, several unnamed people discussed their lack of available workers. According to one leader, his team was busy and could not work the rally. Says everyone else is either working, on vacation, or they're hurt. The senator's office revealed an overview of all the records. Here are some text messages. You can see some different emails here. Blank and blank for the whole event. Blank from 8 to 4 copy. Blank 8 to 4. Blank the remaining time copy. Blank said he can work till 1. Blank was working on a trade. Everyone else is either working, on vacation, or hurt. Copy. So someone said else it's going to be probably going to be a 12-hour detail. Right now I'm looking for 6 guys. If absolutely needed, we can split the shift. At one point, someone said that they may tell Butler, where Trump's rally took place, that the emergency services from Beaver may need to be on call instead. And here's another image from what they were working on. So Beaver will take this area. I guess these are the snipers who will see these areas. So one's here, one's here. Beaver will look at this area, and this area he'll have Overwatch on. And then you would presume that these two in the blue and the green and the yellow would also be able to see this roof, but apparently they couldn't see the roof. So then maybe green leaves the roof, exits this sniper position, and then Crooks is, climbing around this side, climbs up on the roof, and brings his rifle with him. It's just insane. So that's the story here. In a planning diagram, various snipers were there. Their coverage was also there. But the would-be assassin Crooks' location on top of the warehouse was not covered by the snipers. His placement is detailed in an after-action report, but photographs of Crooks, we've seen those. One person responded just minutes before Crooks opened fire. The local officers assisting with the event weren't sure where he had gone. One person responded, not sure, when asked, where'd Crooks go? He was up against the building at 6. If I had to guess, towards the back away from from the event. 5 minutes later, it was communicated over the radio that the suspect was at the picnic tables, moving towards Sheetz with a backpack. Between 6:06 and 6:12, an individual, the name of whom is redacted in the after-action report, attempted to tell patrol officers about Crooks's presence around the building and on the side of the fairgrounds. But at 6:12, shots were fired, and that was the rest of it. Now, as the story continues to develop, they're saying that this Trump shooter may had a certain political bias all of a sudden. But now, Abate, in a hearing on Tuesday with Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe, said that the FBI has discovered 700 social media comments that they think were made by this guy around 2019 to 2020, and they're calling them anti-Semitic and anti-immigrant. That's just what the FBI wanted. Perfect for them. Now, some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature. We were waiting for them to manufacture this, obviously. So while the investigative team is still working to verify this account to determine that it did belong to the shooter, we believe it's important to share it today. While the investigative team is still working, they'll give us some more details. The joint hearing will help shed some more light on this in time. We are just sure of it. Now, here is what Andrew Torba said in response to this. They're trying to say that this guy had anti-immigrant and anti-Semitic comments. They say over at Gab, come on, that's not consistent with what they know from their platform. Breaking, says Andrew Torba, says the FBI is now claiming that the Trump shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks, quote, had an unspecified social media account in 2019-2020 when he was apparently 14 and 15 that posted anti-immigrant and anti-Semitic comments. Right? That is an important context there, 14, 15. Now, that is not consistent, says Andrew Torba, with Gab's understanding of the shooter's motives based on document that they got. It's called an emergency disclosure request, called an EDR, which was received from the FBI last week for the Gab account called Epic Microwave, which based on the content of that EDR, the FBI appeared to think belonged to Thomas Crooks. Now, many, particularly regime media reporters, have doubted Gab's claims that this request existed. Normally, we don't confirm the existence or the content of law enforcement comms, but in this instance, we had to make an exception due to the overwhelming public interest in disclosure and transparency. Now, as a courtesy to law enforcement, we are not going to post the entire request. This is the first page of that request. The story is this: the account for which the data was requested was unequivocally pro-Biden, and in particular, pro-Biden's immigration policy. And so to the best of Gab's knowledge, as of 2021, Crooks was pro-lockdown, pro-immigration, and a left-wing supporter of Joe Biden from Gab. Here's an official record that they received. July 24th, to Gab, Andrew Torba, CEO. This looks legitimate from the FBI on letterhead memo. All the things look like other documents we see. Now, it's an emergency disclosure request from Gab. On 7/13/2024, from the feds to Andrew Torba, say Thomas Matthew Crooks traveled to the Butler Farm Show located at 625 Evans City, Butler, Pennsylvania, and attempted to assassinate former President Trump of the United States, F. POTUS, Donald J. Trump. Now, in doing so, say the feds, Crooks fatally shot one identified victim and critically wounded two others. Crooks left behind two potential explosive devices in his vehicle located near the farm show and an additional potential explosive device at his residence. FBI investigative efforts identified several emails, telephones, and one possible Gab account associated with Crooks. This emergency disclosure request is being submitted to identify any co-conspirators. So for the time being, and for the time period from the inception of the account to the present, please provide the following records and information for all Google accounts associated with the following email addresses and or user identification numbers. Username Epic Microwave. Other identifiers are redacted. Now, as you recall, Andrew Torba had previously shared with us this some time ago. This is the account, and it said a lot of things like this. This account was responding to cat turd. Didn't you also think Biden would lose in a landslide? Yeah, I wouldn't be very confident in your election predictions. It says, first of all, Biden's executive orders don't incentivize human trafficking, as human traffickers aren't interested in citizenship, right? So he's like defending Biden's immigration. Likewise, the majority of illegal immigrants are not criminals. I mean, they are by virtue of the fact that they came here illegally. And I don't want to hear about the amnesty crap, okay? Or the excuses that they're using to say that everybody's not actually illegal. And so you get the picture, right? The story is that this guy is a Trumper, MAGA supporter, some sort of racist, domestic violent extremist, blah, 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 all intending to capture the narrative, to weaponize Trump's own assassination attempt against Trump. It's incredible. But the truth is, what we know from the documents that the FBI sent over themselves, this account and this shooter appear appear to be Biden fans, as we would suspect. And that just makes logical sense. Why would a Trump supporter want to take out Trump? It's not logical. But Trump was asked about this. Now, a lot has happened since we've heard from the president in the aftermath of the assassination attempt. He sat down with Laura Ingraham, and here is what their conversation sounded like.
How are you doing? New information keeps coming out about how this could have occurred, including text messages among some of the local law enforcement, the SWAT teams that were in place. And most recently, we found out that a local SWAT team member actually spotted Crooks 90 minutes before that first shot went off. And they kept tracking him. They even saw him at one point, maybe 45 minutes, half hour before the shot was fired, with the rangefinder pointing it toward the roof. What's your reaction to this?
Look, I can tell you this. Once the bullets started coming at me, and I got very lucky, I have to attribute it to God, because if I didn't turn to the right, and there was no reason to turn to the right except I dropped a big sign on what a great job I'm doing on immigration, right? So the sign's coming down, and I go like this, and it went phew. If I didn't, I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
You shouldn't have been on that stage. No. You shouldn't have been allowed to get on.
But I just want to say one thing about Secret Service. They were very brave, because they were coming, bullets were flying over me, because I went down, bullets were flying, and they were on top of me. I had a lot of people on top of me, a lot of very big, strong people on top of me, I want to tell you. And they were very brave. I have to say that. Okay, with that being said, should have been somebody on the roof. There should have been communication with the local police, which there wasn't, so that's a bad thing. And they were seeing this guy, who was a very disturbed person, and they were seeing him around. I mean, it's like, how about the people, the Trump fans, the Trumpsters, the woman in the red shirt that was screaming, he's got a gun, that guy's got a gun.
But this information, Mr. President, demonstrates via text messages in real time that they spotted this individual. The local SWAT team member spotted him. They lost track of him. They saw him again, but then we find out there was no pre-planning done between the Secret Service and the local SWAT teams, which is common, which is customary, in addition to the drone flying ahead.
Actually, worse, there was no communication. So they didn't speak to each other. They actually didn't speak. That just came out. Look, it's a terrible thing. Should have been somebody up there. Now, the Secret Service shooter, the Secret Service sniper, it was amazing what he did. With one bullet, he took him out. And that was an amazing shot he made. I heard it was like an incredible shot, much further away. It would have been good if it was 9 seconds sooner. You know, we lost one great person and 2 people were very badly hurt, and now they're doing okay, and we're in communication with them. They're doing pretty good. They're doing very good. I thought they were going to die. I thought both of them were going to die also.
But you agreed to an interview with the FBI, as it's called a victim's interview in a situation
They're coming in on Thursday to see me, and I thought I would. I'm so disappointed. You know, if you took a poll of the FBI, I bet I get 95%, but not at the top level, not at the people, the
Why do
political
people not trust the upper echelon of the FBI at this
point?
point?
They've had a bad period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, they raided Mar-a-Lago. That's not so good. And I guess we bring a suit. You know, we won that whole case, and we won it the right way. We won it because we won it. We won it in court. It was a big thing. Hardly got any publicity. All they did is talk about the documents. I was allowed the Presidential Records Act, but we won the case, and the press hardly reports it. Now, with Biden, he really was convicted of that case. He was let go of that case. And by the way, you're talking about many more, and he didn't have Presidential Records Act. Just one thing, Laura. They said he was incompetent, and therefore he can't stand trial, and yet he would have been allowed to be president. Think of that. So he sort of semi-won it. Of course, you don't want to have that kind of a victory. You win because you're incompetent. He actually was guilty.
What was Melania's reaction, if you don't mind my asking? I know this is very personal, when she learned about what happened on that field in Butler?
She was watching.
Oh, she was watching in real time?
She was watching live. It was all over the place. It was on television. It was on your network, but it was all over the place. And she was watching. I asked her that. I mean, I wasn't there. I was on the ground. And when the world started to, like, you could talk to people, I said, so what was your feeling? And she can't really even talk about it.
Traumatized.
Which is okay, because that means she likes me.
No, she loves me. That's good.
I mean, let's say she could talk about it freely. That wouldn't be. I'm not so sure which is better. But she either likes or loves me, and that's nice. Good. But I will say this. Look, when I went down, she thought the worst had happened, because I went down. And I grabbed my hand, and I saw my hand was loaded up with blood. You see it in slow motion, instant replay. You know, we had hundreds of press there. So this was covered live. They would have had instant replay and everything else, which they already do in this. But supposing the worst happened, you know, one man, Corey, was killed, hit horribly,
amazing man,
horribly in the head.
Firefighter, rest in peace.
And you know, he was guarding his family.
That's why how important it is to get to the bottom of why this was allowed to occur. I mean, he died.
No, he died.
You almost died.
He died instantly. Instantly, he was dead immediately.
Yeah, terrible, terrible. So prayers to Comparator family and peace to his family. Just a terrible thing. So President Trump now reacting, responding to what the Secret Service has done, still defending them, giving them some nice benefit of the doubts there, saying that there were a couple of problems here and there. And unfortunately, there are some people at the top who would like to see things go differently.